Yo, what's going on, boys? How you doing? Ginger, CJ Fit, Gravinder, Cordell, Optimus Prime, welcome. Let's get right into it. Amazing day at My Stock Life, as you guys know. Half the people hit the puts that I called out on Friday. Half the people, or half the people hit the ATVI call that T called. Amazing. You guys see the timing in his ATVI call? I guarantee you, probably nobody else that you'll ever meet called ATVI on Friday before that buyout. So congrats if you hit that. Amazing day. Even if you missed it, we had a lot of other hits today. So let's just get right into it. It's obviously very bearish action right off the open. Overnights, what happened was the yields. So if you guys, this is a secret that not a lot of people know. What's up, Christian? The US 10-year here, this is the bonds yield, all right? So what happens basically is, Andrew, what's up, bro? So basically, what happens with the bonds is bond traders are known to be much smarter than equity traders, and a lot of the time the equity markets will follow these 10 years. So this US 10-year should definitely be on your watch list. What's up, Emilio? How you doing, brother? So make sure you're watching this US 10-year bond yields, because a lot of the time equities move on this, especially when they spike up or go on a big run like this. It's a very bad sign for the equities. And as you see here, it's been rising for the last 3 days while SPY has been struggling. So you see how SPY is straight down 3 days, US 10 years straight up 3 days. And another one to watch, this one is more for tech and growth names, TNX. It's basically the same kind of story here. When these are up, growth and tech are very hard to invest into. People sell off risk. They try to take a lot of risk off the table. They usually move into value plays, but just keep those on watch. Not a lot of people will tell you about them, but that's what we're here for, right? So SPY had this head and shoulders going into last Friday. I talked about, we had this big, you guys have never seen me hold puts over the weekend, or three positions of puts over the weekend, I should say. And there's a reason I did that. The reason was there was a head and shoulders that broke down last Friday. We came back up, we retested it, and today much lower. We had a gap to fill all the way back from December 20th. We got within 455.34. So we did fill that gap. So that's very good news in my opinion. We came down, we filled the gap on SPY all the way from December 20th. And now if the market reverses, it's almost a double bottom here, guys. So we closed today at 456.51. 456.51. What is this? Oh yeah, 456.60. Sorry, at the top there it says closed at 465. I got the numbers switched up. I didn't know it opened closed $10 higher. But the low of the day on January 10th, which was last Wednesday, which was the low of the week, was 456.60, and today's close was 456.50. And then the gap is filled from December 20th. So if the market wants to turn around, if bulls want to show up, tomorrow is the day for the bulls to show up. Obviously, we have VIX expiration tomorrow. We have OPEX on Friday. And then OPEX is usually the opposite of what's happening right now. And then Monday goes back to normal. And then FOMC next Wednesday. So expect a lot of volatility. Don't be over trading, guys. Keep your money on the sideline. Wait for A+ setups, and this Friday will be a lot of fun. As you guys noticed today, I didn't take any short-term positions. All my stuff is farther out. There's a reason for that. There's a lot of volatility right now in the market, and there's a lot of binary events coming up that can cause more volatility. So QQQ, let's go into this. We had a weekly channel we were watching. This is another reason I held 3 positions of puts over the weekend that we banked on this morning. So QQQ, we closed below the weekly channel. Remember, they try to save it on Friday. This weekly channel goes all the way back to June of 2020, right after COVID became a thing. You guys remember that, before all the lockdowns and everything? What's up, Crobledo? So yeah, last Friday we tried to kick save the weekly channel. We couldn't get back inside of it, and that told me more downside to come. That's why, another reason why I added puts today. We still did not, 369.31. We did not take out last week's lows on QQQ, guys. So on SPY we did take out last week's lows, which was 456.60. We took that out today, but QQQ did not take out last Wednesday's lows. So that's something to keep in mind here. 369.31 was last Wednesday's lows. We closed about 40 cents above that. So keep an eye on QQQ. This is a primary, like, if they want to short-term bounce it even, they're going to have to do it soon. We got the 200-day underneath. Maybe we go to that. Maybe we hold last week's low. Let's see what happens tomorrow. But we need those yields to come down if we want any kind of move in QQQ. XLF, Guys, we called this out to a T. I told you guys last week, XLF usually does not leave this much space between the 8-day and usually does not go this parabolic. We had JPM puts. I sold them because of one of my trading rules. I don't usually hold into earnings, but those ones, the ones that I held, they went 168 to 8, guys, overnight. What's up, Solark? How you doing? We'll talk about it in a bit. So XLF finally coming back down to earth. I think if this one keeps coming down, the first support we need to start looking at is the 50-day moving average, which is at 39.39, and we also have a big support slash resistance. It was support before and it was resistance before as well at 39.27. So that range 39.39, 39.27 should be a range you're watching if you want to get long XLF or any banks. IWM, the weakest index by far. I told you guys last week it was going to go visit 208. It did me one better. It went to 207 today. So this was the line that we were watching on IWM. Remember, it was a kind of a head and shoulders forming here. We have the shoulder, the head, the shoulder, and today we broke down, and right now we're sitting right at that little diagonal support here. So what does it do tomorrow? Again, there's a high probability of a bounce day tomorrow, just because we're at a lot of key supports on these indexes here. So IWM's at a little support there. SPX is playing with a weekly support here, actually. If you guys look at a weekly channel on SPX, very big channel, same story all the way back from April of 2020, right after COVID. We had a head and shoulders breakdown that happened. It can continue down a lot further. I'm not saying we can't go down more. I'm saying if they want to bounce it for short-term RSI cooling off, just a bounce. I'm not saying we're going back to all-time highs, but if they want to bounce it short-term this week or next week, now's probably the time. Just like QQQ's holding last week's lows, XLF has already retracted a lot of that parabolic move already. We've actually filled the gap from January 3rd on XLF, 39.68. Today was 39.67. So we exactly filled the gap on XLF as well as SPY, as well as QQQ holding last week's support. IWM's right at support, so chances are for a bounce tomorrow. Let's see what happens. ES, bunch of resistances and supports here. You guys see we're just kind of in a chop zone. This is why I'm not taking any short-term stuff. Anything's possible here. As you guys see, these levels have been tested multiple times. This 45.89 to 45.85 area is my put wall. We closed below there, so expect more volatility. Either way we go. And for right now, we're still holding this lower support. SQQQ, if you had the $35 calls with me, these are in the money. They were $7 calls, but obviously we got a 5-to-1 reverse split, which puts those at $35 calls. So they're in the money today. We sold them for over 100 and something percent, I forget. And congrats if you followed the trade. Other than that, it looks like it's putting in higher lows on the daily, and it looks like it's going up more. The VIX here, VIX is not done. Remember what I told you guys last week on VIX as well. We put in a low, we put in a higher low, and now we're moving higher. If we take out this number of 23.33 on VIX, which it fell short of by 13 cents today, over 23.33, it'll put in a higher high, and then we'll look for another higher low. And the daily trend is up on VIX right now. TNX we already went over. Let's go into some individual charts. So again, we were talking about this morning. Held Uber puts over the weekend, the Jan 28th, $40 puts went from 85 cents to about $2.50 today. So nice gains there, almost 300% if you guys held them. I still have a few. I have sold the majority of them. Again, I'm not trying to be too greedy. If you guys look, this is our Bollinger Bands. I don't show them too much. They're kind of messy, but I use them sometimes. Right now, we are below the Bollinger Bands on a bunch of different charts. So we are due for a bounce. I'm not saying we're going to rip right back to all-time highs. I'm just saying look for relief bounces around. And other than that, nothing on Uber makes me want to go bullish. But I did want to cover puts because I told you guys puts. Make sure you're taking profits. Anything is possible. Any kind of rally, anything. Lucid, another one we hit this morning. Lockup expiration tomorrow. I love this trade last week. That's why I jumped in the $40 puts. We got paid very nicely on them. I think a lot of people in MSL got paid on those puts. The reason I took them off is because tomorrow is lockup expiration. Literally the whole world knows about it. Literally every single person that has mentioned Lucid on Twitter knows about the lockup expiration. Everyone I see is bearish on it. Everyone has puts. and I just don't like to be on the same side of the boat as everyone else. So I just took it off. I'm not playing calls. I'm not playing puts. Let it do what it wants tomorrow, and then I'll make my play on it next. ATVI bought out this morning. T called this one on Friday. Amazing call if you guys followed. Congrats. There's nothing much to say about it. Caught it at the perfect time. Obviously, he did his research. He's got it. But one thing I did want to go over on ATVI and Microsoft, because I get the same questions every single day. When a company is bought out, depending on how much the company is buying them out for, which Microsoft said, I think $95 a share, the company that's selling their company usually gaps up and just goes sideways, just completely sideways. So there's no trade left on ATVI in my opinion, unless they confirm $95. Then this stock can go to $95. That means it can go to $95. Maybe it was just a bunch of profit taking today, maybe not. But Isaac, nicely done, bro. I'm very happy to hear that. Make sure you like and subscribe so you catch more plays. ATVI, exactly. Sellout company usually just goes sideways. I can't really think. Maybe Arna was one. Yeah, so this is Arna. This was a buyout by PFE. This is what I mean by when a company gets sold, they just gap up and then they just go sideways within a dollar or two move up and down. The trade is done. The trade was to get in before the buyout. Obviously, it's very, very tricky to get in. T did it perfectly. But right now in ATV, I just expect a lot of sideways. Unless Microsoft confirms that it was $95 a share, then they can move up possibly to 95. But other than that, it's off my list now. There's no trade in it for me. And Microsoft, people are asking why Microsoft, usually the company that's doing the buying of the other company comes down because they either pay cash or stock. And when you pay stock, you dilute your shares. When you pay cash, you have less cash on hand. You're paying money for a company, right? Longer term, very, very bullish for Microsoft, in my opinion. But for the short term, it should be bearish because they're spending a lot of money or diluting their shares. I haven't read into it to know more yet. Other than that, Goldman Sachs completely missed earnings. They spent way more than they should have. They spent way more than estimates, not what they should have. Other than that, I mean, we are well below the 200-day on Goldman Sachs. You guys see the big selling volume here. This will be a long opportunity in the future. Not for a little while, because when earnings are bad, usually I leave the stock alone for a little while. But in the future, Goldman Sachs will be a great long opportunity way down here. As you guys see, it hasn't visited the 200-day on the daily in a long, long time. So the 200-day was untouched by Goldman Sachs. Oh, it did. It dipped under it on December 20th, and the next day we closed right back above it. So this time, I'm waiting for a couple days just because of the bad earnings report, but the last time before that it crossed under the 200-day was last November of 2020, not 2021, 2020. And you guys can see how it recovers usually. So right here, it went down during the COVID crash, and then it usually, Goldman Sachs is obviously one of the strongest banks in the world. Just wait for it, let it base a little, and then we'll jump in calls back to the 200-day there. NVIDIA, I took these today. I took farther out calls based on ASML earnings tomorrow. So last week I seen some interesting longer term call flow on NVIDIA. We have this daily wedge or flag here. We're right at support. As you guys see, every time we come down to support, there's usually a big pop. In fact, this day we got a huge pop all the way from 280 to 302. So 20-point move off support here. Then we got a 20-point move off support here. We got a huge move off support here. Nice size move off support here. And now we're right back at that support. So I bought into some fear. I gave myself some time. I got February and March's, which means that even if the stock is going down, we're not down too much. I think we're down around 10-11% right now. So not a big deal. I'm waiting for tomorrow. We have ASML earnings tomorrow. If you guys don't know, they have a monopoly on chip companies. Whatever these guys report tomorrow morning before the bell will affect all the chips. So if ASML has good earnings tomorrow, TSM should gap up, MU should gap up, LRCX should gap up, NVIDIA and AMD should gap up. So ASML is very, very important in the semiconductor space. I will be up early. I'll tell you what I think about their earnings immediately. And we have lots of time on these. I'm not too worried about day-to-day action or even minute-to-minute action. The size of the flow and some of the stuff, the technical patterns, ASML earnings, it gives me some confidence in this play, so I'm not too worried about it. NEO. So NEO we called out. I had it on my newsletter. Yash called it out this morning. China's easing rates first of all, which is super bullish for NEO. Second thing is we have this huge weekly wedge. So right now, this is a weekly play. We have till March 18th. As long as this candle on Friday closes within this wedge, I think we should get paid on this Neo. So I will not adjust or sell my Neo position until Friday at least, guys. And the video is probably the same thing in that little channel. If you go to weekly, same kind of thing. Just a huge weekly bull flag, and right now we're just chilling on the 21-day moving average. Today was lower. Obviously, we have to wait till Friday. If on Friday we close above the 21-day move, that's not the 21-day moving average. 1 second. 262.47 is what I see. 21-day moving average is 262.47. Any close above 262.50 on NVIDIA this week, we should get paid very nicely on all those calls that I took. Other than that, obviously there is more downside. If we fail to get back over the 21-day, we can go all the way down and test around 240s on NVIDIA, in my opinion. So keep that in mind. Upside and downside, I gave it to you. Neo, same thing. We have to wait till Friday. That's why we took March calls, guys. You have to think why. LB usually takes short-term calls, or I usually take like more aggressive plays, but right now is not the time to be aggressive. I took very, very safer, farther out plays, and they're for a reason. We have a lot of binary events coming up. Nobody knows what's going to happen, right? And if they keep dumping the market like they have right now, like SPY, QQQ, let's open up QQQ actually, because this breaking out of a weekly channel that we've been in since June of 2020 is a big thing. If we continue down and the yields continue up, Jay Powell is going to have a big decision in front of him on January 25th, and I believe that's what the market is doing right now. They're forcing his hand. They don't want interest rates higher, and they're going to force Jay Powell to take back what he said. But let's see what happens for the rest of the week. I hope you guys had a... Oh, I'll do Amazon. Sorry. Oh, yeah, you guys had some chart requests. I'll do Amazon. The reason I said Amazon was bullish today, well, it didn't close very bullish, but at the end of the day, I took a look at Amazon, and it was right near the high of the day here. Let me show you. So everything else was dumping. Everything was in low of the day. QQQ was weak, super weak, and Amazon's just chilling right where it opened. So that is relative strength, whether you believe it or not. And the last time Amazon gapped down like this was this day right here on January 10th, where just selling exhaustion, buyers stepped in, formed a hammer, and then they carried on the second day. If Amazon has a second day tomorrow, you can catch a piece of it. But for right now, I don't like how that candle closed. I really wanted it to close green. So we had Amazon, Home Depot. Home Depot, I haven't looked at it since our legendary short that we did. A+ setup, big short. We got paid very, very nicely on those. And that's actually a bullish candle on HD as well. It's exactly the same thing I was just saying about Amazon is the same thing on HD. You guys see how it's in a clear downtrend, and then one day they just gap it down fat and buyers just buy the dip? That shows that sellers are exhausted. No more new shorts jumped in. Old shorts are covering because they're happy with their profits. Buyers jump in, and then it makes a little reversal. Let's see if HD can actually get some follow through tomorrow, because if it does, it can fill this gap up to 371.50, which is about 5 points away. And there's another gap now all the way up to 385.86. So HD, keep on watch. If we get buyers in there tomorrow, we can go all the way up to 385.86. So keep an eye on HD. Nice call, bookie. I'll do one more. That's about it. That's all I see. All right. Yeah, so we went over everything. I hope you guys had a great day. Tomorrow, VIX expiry. Let's see what happens, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.